Hello learners, I am Dr. Munish Bharadwaj from School of Engineering and Technology of IGNOU. As you know, we are discussing different type of defects in different type of construction materials and how we can deal with these defects, what are the remedial measures and preventive measures that we are discussing. So in this series, today I am going to discuss with you defects in timber, and in this lecture I will discuss with you what is timber, what are the properties of timber, how timber is classified, then what is the structure of a tree, then what are different type of defects which are associated with timber. That all we will discuss in this lecture. So to begin with, timber is one of the important construction materials. You know, it is extensively used in construction of buildings. Wood is used as a structural element in buildings, widely for doors, windows, partitions, and find large use through secondary wood products like plywood, particle board, laminated board, etc. So these are various uses. So that way it is extensively used in construction. And as far as the type of wood that is used for construction, so it is both the types, hardwood as well as the softwood, used in the construction. Defects in this construction material for buildings will affect the, first of all, structural safety, second, aesthetic aspects, and even functional use, including fire protection. These things are very important, that any defect in this material may result in the structural failure, the aesthetics of the building may be lost, and the functional use may be lost, and the problem of fire protection. These are the problems that are associated with this material. Now let us have a look on some definitions. First of all, where from this timber word has come? What is its origin? The word timber is derived from an Old English word timbrian, which means to build. So means from its origin also, you see that this is a material which is used for building. So timber thus denotes wood which is suitable for building or carpentry or various other engineering purposes. The timber is further termed as standing timber and round timber. Standing timber is the timber contained in a living tree, means the wood which is there in the living tree, that is called standing timber. The round timber, this indicates the timber which is obtained after felling of a tree. Then another one is converted timber. This term is used to indicate the timber which is sawn and cut into suitable commercial sizes. Because when you go to the market, you do not find a living tree. Sometimes you find the round timber, but most of the time you find the converted timber. And also the converted timber is the timber which is useful for you for any purpose, whether you are going for a structural purpose, constructing a building, for getting frames for doors and windows, the window panes or doors itself, or furniture, anything, you go for converted timber. Now let us see what are the properties of timber, how it is so important for construction and various other purposes. So the timber or wood as a building material possesses a number of valuable properties, and these properties are low heat conductivity. You know that heat conduction is very low. Amenability to mechanical working, that you can work with this material very easily in comparison to other materials like stone, steel, bricks. So this material is very easy to work. Then a small bulk density. And if you compare the bulk density of timber with other materials like again stone, brick or steel, then this material has very small bulk density. It is not very heavy in comparison to the other materials of the same size. And finally, relatively high strength. But you know that the bulk density is small, but strength is very good strength. This material is having good strength. So these are the properties which makes this material suitable for construction work, for buildings and other infrastructure. There are not only the properties, there are some drawbacks which are associated with timber. Timber has its own drawbacks such as susceptibility to decay and inflammability. That if timber is exposed to environmental agents and biological agents, it is susceptible to decay because of these external agents. Also, it is inflammable, means it can catch fire easily. So this is one of the drawbacks. The fluctuations in properties due to change in moisture content. That if it is dry, the property is different. If it absorbs moisture from the environment, the property changes. You must have experienced in your houses that in rainy season, the doors and windows which were easily operable, which you could easily operate them, closing and opening, in rainy season it becomes very difficult sometimes, because where the timber is absorbing the moisture, there the sizes are changing, dimensions are changing basically. So because of that, you find problem in closing and opening those doors and windows. So that way, this is susceptible to fluctuations in properties due to change in moisture content. The next is variation in strength in length and across fibers. That strength vary along the length as well as across the fiber. Basically, that the strength of this material is different. If you find along the length, the strength is different, whereas across the fiber the strength is different. So it is not having that isotropic property. In all directions strength is not same. These shortcomings of timber require careful consideration while making use of it. So that is this. Now have a look on classification of timber, how we classify the timber. The trees are classified according to their mode of growth, such as exogenous and endogenous trees. In exogenous, there are again subclassification: conifers, deciduous. Conifers generally have softwood, whereas the deciduous have hardwood. So this is the classification of trees basically. So two main categories: exogenous trees and endogenous trees. Now let us elaborate on exogenous trees. These trees increase in bulk by growing outward, and that is why their name is exogenous trees. And distinct consecutive rings are formed in the horizontal section of a tree. These rings are known as annular rings because one such ring is added every year, and these rings are useful in predicting the age of a tree. That you can easily predict the age of tree by counting the number of annular rings. Timber, which is mostly used for engineering purposes, belongs to this category. And in this, what are different types? First is conifers. These are also known as evergreen trees, and leaves of these trees do not fall till new leaves are not grown. As these trees bear cone-shaped fruit, so they are given the name conifers. These trees yield softwood. Then deciduous trees. The trees are also known as broadleaf trees, and leaves of these trees fall in autumn and new ones appear in spring season. Timber for engineering purposes is mostly derived from deciduous trees. These trees yield hardwood. Then what is that softwood and hardwood? Softwood form a group of evergreen trees. Hardwood form a group of broadleaf trees. It is quite likely that some variety of the softwood may prove to be stronger than some variety of hardwood. Example of softwood are cheer, deodar, fir, kale, pine, spruce, etc. And examples for hardwood are babool, mahogany, oak, sal, teak, etc. Generally, hardwood is preferable for structural components. Softwood are also used extensively in building industry for structural component joinery and less sophisticated purposes like partition, palmets, etc. Many products of secondary manufacture like plywood, particle boards, roofing sheets and laminated boards have also come into the wide use. So these are the secondary materials which are made of this wood. Now let us see endogenous trees. So these trees grow inward and fibrous mass is seen in their longitudinal sections. You will find the fibrous mass in the longitudinal section. So timber from these trees has very limited engineering application. Examples of endogenous trees are bamboo, cane, palm, etc. So their structural use is very limited, but generally for furniture and other purposes they may be used. Now let us have a look on structure of a tree. Now after classification, we should know the structure of a tree, how it is formed and the terms in its formation. What are the terms? A tree basically consists of three parts. What are these three parts? Trunk, crown and roots. From the visibility aspect, the structure of a tree can be divided into two categories: macrostructure and microstructure. Let us look what is this macrostructure and microstructure. First, let us talk about macrostructure. The structure of a wood visible to the naked eye or at a small magnification is called macrostructure. Means the structure which you can see with naked eye or with little magnification, that will be called as macrostructure. So let us have a look at the cross section of an exogenous tree. In the center you see the pith, then next layer is heartwood, then sapwood, then in between is medullary layer, then inner bark and the cambium layer, and finally the outer bark. So that way this shows the macro structure of exogenous tree. So let us talk about different layers or different parts of this macro structure. First one is pith. As I showed you in the figure, this the innermost central portion or core of the tree is called the pith or medulla. It varies in size and shape for different type of trees. It consists entirely of cellular tissue and it nourishes the plant in its young age. When the plant becomes old, the pith dies up and decays, and sap is then transmitted by the woody fibers deposited around the pith. The next layer in that cross section was heartwood. The inner annular rings surrounding the pith is known as heartwood. It is usually dark in color. As a matter of fact, it indicates dead portion of tree, and as such it does not take active part in the growth of the tree. Though it is called heartwood, but it is not taking active part in the growth of the tree, whereas for human being heart is very important. But it imparts rigidity to tree and hence it provides strong and durable timber for various engineering purposes. This is the reason that why we are calling it heartwood, because this is very strong part of the tree, and generally for engineering purposes we require this strong part. So that way we call it as a heartwood basically. Then next layer is sapwood. The outer annual rings between heartwood and cambium layer is known as sapwood. It is usually light in color and weight. It indicates recent growth and it contains sap. The annual rings of sapwood are less sharply defined than those of heartwood. This means here you cannot clearly have the distinct annular rings as you find in the heartwood. It takes active part in the growth of tree and sap moves in upward direction through it. Sapwood is also known as alburnum. The next layer is cambium layer. The thin layer of sap between sapwood and inner bark is known as cambium layer. It indicates sap which has yet not been converted into sapwood. If the bark is removed from any reason, the cambium layer gets exposed and the cells cease to be active, resulting in death of tree. So that is very important for a living tree. Next layer is inner bark. The inner skin or layer covering the cambium layer is known as inner bark. It gives protection to cambium layer from an injury. Then comes the outer bark. The outer skin or cover of the tree is known as outer bark. It is the outermost protective layer and it sometimes contains cracks and fissures. It consists of cells of wood fiber and is also known as cortex. Then medullary rays. The thin radial fibers extending from pith to cambium layer are known as medullary rays. The function of these rays is to hold together the annual rays of heartwood and sapwood. These rays are sometimes broken, and in some varieties of trees they are not very prominent. So after discussing the macrostructure, now let us move to the microstructure of the tree. The structure of wood apparent not only at great magnifications is called microstructures. Means the structure which can you see after great magnification, that is called as microstructure, which you cannot see by naked eyes or small little magnification. When studied under a microscope, it becomes evident that wood consists of living and dead cells of various sizes and shapes. The moisture content plays an important part in the use of timber. For example, the moisture content of a door frame or door shutter should be appropriate for the service conditions, because due to the absorption of moisture from atmosphere or due to drying up of the moisture content of the door frame and the door shutter, the dimensions may change and you may feel problem in closing and opening of the doors and windows. So that way it says that moisture content of a door frame or door shutter should be appropriate for the service conditions. There are an average of 15% of exterior joinery and an average of varying from 10% to 12% for interior joinery. So these are the moisture content basically. Each species of timber has a certain natural durability which is normally greater and never less for the heartwood than the sapwood. Durability in this context is a measure of the natural resistance of fungal decay and not to insect attack. So you can understand the difference that here what is the meaning of durability? That the wood is capable of resisting fungal decay. We are not talking here the durability with respect to the insect attack. It is seen that the heartwood of timber classified as very durable can be expected to have an approximate life in excess of 25 years even if in contact with ground. In general, larger pieces would have longer life. It is important to realize that even species with low natural durability will not decay if the moisture content in service is capped below 20%. So it is moisture content is very important. That even a wood with low natural durability will not decay if the moisture content is capped below 20%. Very important. Even a piece of timber given the description of perishable will not decay if the details and service conditions cause it to have a moisture content in service below 20% level. So that way you see that moisture content is very important. The sapwood of almost all timbers, not just softwood, is either perishable or non-durable. So sapwood is of no use basically because it is perishable. It is going to decay. It is non-durable. Now after discussing this macrostructure and microstructure of trees, now let us have a look on defects in timber. What type of different defects in timber are there. As human body has many defects, timber also have defects, and these are grouped into 5 divisions. What are these 5 categories or divisions? First is defects due to conversion. That when you are converting the timber, when you are cutting into pieces of different sizes, then some defects may come into the picture. So these are the defects due to conversion. Second is defect due to fungi. That due to fungi attack, there may be some defects caused into the timber. Those will be called as defects due to fungi. Then defects due to insects. There are various categories or types of insects that may attack the timber and may create many defects in that timber. So that those defects will be called as defects due to insects. Then there are defects due to natural forces. Natural forces means strong winds and other environmental forces may cause defects in the timber or the wood. These are called as the defects due to natural forces. Then defects due to seasoning. What we do basically to preserve the timber, we do the seasoning so that it can long last. We increase the service life. We ensure the increased service life by seasoning of wood or seasoning of timber. But if improper seasoning is done, again the defects may be incorporated or defects may be introduced in the timber due to seasoning also. Now let us know how various type of defects under each category. Now let us have a look first on defects due to conversion. During the process of converting timber to commercial form, the following defects may occur. What are these? First is chip mark, second is diagonal grain, third is torn grain, then fourth is vein. Let us discuss one by one. What is this chip mark? This defect is indicated by the marks or signs placed by chips on the finished surface of timber. They may also be formed by the parts of a planing machine. So you will find the chip mark there. So this defect is called as a chip mark. Then diagonal grain. This defect is formed due to improper sawing of timber. It is indicated by diagonal mark on straight grained surface of timber. Then another one is torn grain. This defect is caused when a small depression is formed on the finished surface of timber by falling off a tool or other equipments. Then vein. This defect is denoted by the presence of original rounded surface on the manufactured piece of timber. Now let us see what are different defects due to fungi. First of all, what is fungus or what are fungi? Fungi are minute microscopic plant organisms. They attack timber only when the following conditions are there. First is that moisture content of timber is above 12 to 15%. Second condition is there is presence of air and warmth for the growth of fungi. So these are the two conditions where fungi finds a favorable condition for its attack and growth. What are these? Moisture and air plus warmth, warm environment. If any of the above condition is absent, decay of wood due to fungi would not occur. Hence, dry wood having moisture content less than 12 to 14% will remain sound for centuries. Similarly, wood submerged in water will not be attacked by fungi because of absence of air. Because what were the conditions? That air should be there, moisture should be there, and warm environment should be there. So if the wood is submerged in water, it will also not be attacked by fungi because now air is not there. Following defects are caused in timber by fungi. What are these defects? The names are blue stain, brown rot, dry rot, hurt rot, sap stain, wet rot, white rot. So these are the different defects which are caused by fungi. So up to this we have discussed that what is timber, what is the origin of the word timber, then how the trees are classified, then what are the properties of timber, also the drawbacks of timber. Then we discuss that structure of tree, that macrostructure and microstructure. Then we discuss different type of agents that may cause defects in the timber and what are the different defects due to the various agents. So I hope you must have enjoyed this discussion, and in our next lecture we will move forward for discussing further defects on timber and how we can preserve timber by various actions and operations. Thank you.